Good morning, YouTube. I'm your host. There's some things that I want to address. I'm going to address them in 3 separate videos, but I'm really disgusted with some stuff that I'm seeing. The other day I saw this video with Morgan Freeman, and he was being interviewed by Mike Wallace, and he asked Mike Wallace asked him, what does he think about Black History Month? And Morgan Freeman said he don't want it. We don't need that. And Mike Wallace asked him why. And he asked Mike Wallace, well, do you have a white American Day? And he says no. He said, well, and Mike Wallace, well, I'm Jewish. He said, do you have a Jewish day? He says, no. Do you want one? He said, absolutely not. So I put this on a page that it's a public page that a friend of mine presented, and I put it on there. And the comments that I got back was, why you destroying African American Day? You're a hater. At least they're trying to tell us about our history, even if it's once a month. This is the only way that I'm learning about my history, even though I'm mad. At least somebody's telling us our history. So I answered back, this history's been around for a very long time. Very long time. 1400, 1500, 1600, 1800, 1900. This history's been around. The problem is that we do not like reading. And how do you destroy a culture? Put it in the book. They'll never read it. They'll never read who they are, where they belong, and where they're supposed to be going. They'll never read it. They'll rather somebody tell it to them. Okay? And depending who's telling it to them, they get offended by who's telling it to them. But they refuse to read it. A couple years ago in Brooklyn, they had a blackout. And the media told you lock up your stores, because they know what's getting ready to happen. Okay, they robbed the McDonald's, they robbed the sneaker store, they robbed the clothing store. The only store that they never broke into, you want to guess they didn't break into? The bookstore. Nobody broke into the bookstore. So when the media came there, you can look this up, this is public knowledge, public record. When the media came there and interviewed the owner of the bookstore, they asked him, why didn't you have the gates up? He chuckled and he says, they're not breaking into the bookstore. Why would they break into the bookstore? Because they refuse to read. So they rather have it done give it to them once a month of who they are. There are people before us that they have put in the books to tell you how great these men were. Black men. And stop using the word African American. Because if you go back to Africa right now, they're going to ask you where you're from. They're going to tell you you're not pure blood. You don't belong here. So stop using the word African American. You're American. They purposely use that word African American to basically separate us. Right? So you have white American who thinks they're better than us, and then you have black Americans who think they're inferior to the white Americans. There's nothing that a white man could do that you can't do. Nothing at all. Okay? But you choose to allow them to separate you by using the word African American. There's nothing African about you. Nothing. What tribe are you from? Can you answer that? But what you can answer is where you were born in the United States. And I know people are going to say, oh, well, our forefathers are from Africa. Okay. But you were born here as an American. You can't go to Africa right now and go vote. If every American right now go back to Africa, you can't vote. Where are you going to live? What tribe are you from? What village are you from? But the tribe you're from is from the United States of America. And if we still are going to allow people, the media, to dictate who we are, we're in for a rude awakening. A rude awakening. We're waiting for once a month for the media to put on TV that this was a great woman or a great man, instead of reading it. And if you don't read it, then you're dead. That's why they're able to implement the welfare system, and it flourished, because we refused to read what this was going to do to our culture. We have the lowest rate of marriage right now, because our women would rather have a child out of wedlock than be married. These young men, or let's not even call them men, these males, right? Because there's no father in their household to tell them, listen, this is how you're supposed to take on the responsibility of being a husband and a father. You need a job, which means you need an education. We were always skilled workers. Always skilled workers. We didn't fall out of the sky knowing these things. We were always skilled workers. Shipbuilders, loggers. All we did was take what we knew from the plantation into reality, into goods and services. That's what this country runs on. Goods and services. If you got the goods, I could service it. We're at a time in our lives where we're reading, and you hear it every day, reading is fundamental. But nobody wants to read. I don't want a Black History Month. Go learn to read your history instead of somebody telling it to you. The traffic light. There's so much on our history that we refuse to learn it. But in the chat, everybody said, oh, at least somebody's telling it to us. Why don't you go read it? Why do you need somebody to tell it to you? That's why you need somebody to build a building so that you could live in it, so you could wait for it. Instead of go buy a home. You know, in the 40s and 50s and 60s, Black people own more homes than anybody else. Now we turn to be renters. We're renting. So every year or every 3 years, somebody come tell you, you got to give me more money. And then you get upset. Why you need more money? Because the building got to be maintained. The services got to be maintained. The stuff your children have done to my property got to now be maintained. But the money you're giving me, I can't maintain it with that. Learn how to buy homes. This country runs on credit. Clear up your credit. A lot of us are destroying our credit on frivolous things. Things to let the Joneses see that you have it. Well, you don't have it. You don't have it. But you dress nice. Okay. But who are you impressing? Because people with money don't dress like that. But this thing where we have to wait once a year for Black history to be taught is ridiculous. It is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And people got to stop letting people put things in place for you. Put it in place for yourself. Go learn to read. Teach your children to read. That's why they have a library. And if you don't want to go to the library, you have the internet now. You can look this stuff up and read it. But instead, they give you shows on TV to dumb everything down. Dumb everything down. But you won't read your history, so you know where you're supposed to be at. And as long as we don't learn from our past, this is going to be our future. So for those of you who said that Morgan Freeman, he don't count no more because he's rich. Right. But you know, before he became an actor, he had to start from someplace. So why is it when somebody that's more educated but is telling you, right, this is not what we are supposed to be, we come with something to say, oh, he rich, he don't count. This man is well-traveled. And he's telling you why this is not right. And you'll refuse refuse to hear him out. He's a sellout. How? You sure you're not the sellout? If you're going to wait once a year for somebody to tell your history, tells me your mindset. I hear people saying that they want reparations. For what? You're telling the oppressor that they have won. Give me my money because you beat me. Are you guys serious? Are you people serious? Marcus Garvey met with the head of the Ku Klux Klan. And they told him, for you to be respected, you have to have your own. Marcus Garvey met with them. They didn't kill him. They didn't lynch him. Marcus Garvey did. Okay? And he walked out of there. Because you understand, in order for them people to respect you, you have to have your own. Your own. Not renting somebody's place. Not subbing somebody else's lifestyle. Rent goes up, mortgages go down. You can't negotiate your rent to go down. No landlord is going to tell you, I see what you're saying, I'm going to lower your rent. No landlord is going to do that. But you could go to a bank and tell them, I want to refinance my property. I want to modify my loan so I could afford this. But then people say everybody don't want to rent own a home. Why not? That's a defeatist mindset. Everybody don't want to do this. You're not everybody. You're an individual. Do better for yourself. They're talking about racism. Everybody's racist, including black people, to black people. But at some point, we as a people have to stop letting people spoon feed us our history and tell us what we should know when we're supposed to know it. And these people that are peddling books for you to go buy so that you could go read more of the garbage, get rid of that stuff. Real history. Thank you, YouTube.